Welcome to One Step at a Time. I'm Paul Bear, a podcast where we talk to interesting people about the careers and challenges they faced. Today we have actor, writer, producer, and artist, and icon, Sylvester Stallone.
How you doing, my pal? How are you? Here. Oh, you're more than welcome. Where would you like to sit?
Right here's perfect.
Okay. All right.
So to start us off, Tulsa King, Season 3 killed it. You look like you're having fun shooting it. What was your favorite part of shooting Tulsa King Season 3?
Well, actually, it's more selfish. It's getting to play pretty much your own personality. Because a lot of actors feel as though they have to perform. And they'll try a different voice or different walk and this and that. And that's not really who they are, their essence. They're performing. I said, why don't, at this point in my life, since I've done Rocky and all these other things, just be me and see how that works as a gangster. You know, you wake up one morning and I'm me, but I'm a gangster for a living, and see how that works out. So in other words, just be sort of who you are, but your profession is a nasty one.
Why do you think Season 3 is taken off so much?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the fellows that you surround you. It's very hard to find a good villain. That's the key. Like with Rocky, it's Drago or Mr. T. If you don't have that component, then you have a very, very minor victory when eventually you get to the finale. You need something that's worthwhile, that actually you're overwhelmed with, that's stronger than you. That's the whole point.
That's true. I mean, you guys definitely have been able to write these amazing villains. And throughout that long journey, you must have some amazing memories. Do you have a favorite memory?
Yeah, it's like in the middle of a storm, you don't remember much. It's not like in the eye of a hurricane, it's kind of quiet, but on the outside, it's a tornado. I recall a lot of it would be the memorization. This is very important because anyone can learn a line. To study a line, to understand the line, to get the innuendo, it's like a song. Anyone can go, ah, but it's the one that can have different inflection that makes the artist. That's what makes an artist, is variety.
That's true. And so you wrote the screenplay for Rocky Balboa.
Right.
Did you see yourself as him when you were writing it?
100%. See, that was the struggle. It was almost a temporary form of insanity. I was broke. I had nothing. Oh, here we go. Let me get this. I had nothing going, really. It was pretty bad. And so what I did was, I go, I don't know if I'm ever going to make it because I'm kind of an unusual type. My face doesn't look like a movie star. My voice is deep and all these things. And I thought, if I could design one thing, and that is to play into people's stereotypes. Everyone always looked at me as kind of a tough guy or a thug or that kind of a guy. But in reality, I am that. In reality, it goes deeper than that. And if I didn't write it and live with it and nurture it, it was never going to come down the pike at all. You know, all these scenes, for example, what I'm showing you on the screen here, these were building up to it. It's like, how do you take a guy who on the surface looks very rough and intimidating, but through these kinds of scenes, you see another side of him? Well, that's the same reason I held on to the screenplay, because I would never have an opportunity to show any other sides. It was a big gamble. I mean, in theory, it was kind of reckless, but sometimes you just go all in.
Your hard work paid off. And so after Rocky, your fame skyrocketed, and you must have been offered so many different types of movies. Is there any movies you're sad that you had to turn down or you wish you took it up?
Yeah. Some I didn't know if I was ready for. One was John Voight. It's called Coming Home. I turned down one that Harrison Ford did called Witness. Then there was a thing Michael Douglas did called Romancing the Stone. And I would do Rhinestone, which is just the opposite. You know, I should have done Gallstone. It was a disaster, that kind of a thing. So yeah, you always have these situations. Deer Hunter, you know, these things all came down the pike. But I don't know if I was just not ready for it or just being foolish, really.
Mm-hmm. And on the flip side, was there any that you wish you never took?
Oh, yeah. How much time we got? Yeah, we got a couple. He'd bring your sleeping bag, did you? I did like stop on my mom will shoot. I thought Schwarzenegger was going to do it, so I said, "Oh, I'll beat him to it." It was the last thing he planned on doing, so I got stuck with that. And then Rhinestone, and I loved working with Dolly Parton. She's truly one of the last of the originals, but it just turned out to be superficial. Mm-hmm. I knew when they hired, and this is not to be too denigrating, but when they hired the director from Porky's, I knew I was in trouble. You just know you're in trouble, that kind of a thing.
That's true. And so with those different roles, you switch from being Rocky Balboa to John Rambo.
Yeah.
What is it like transitioning between those types of characters?
It's radical because you have the complete opposite side of the spectrum. You have an extrovert and Rocky, an introvert. And actually, I'm still working on the concept of what made him that way. And the whole point was, for some reason, there was a curse on this project. I was the 11th choice to play the part. Everyone else had backed out. You named the actor, and they got it first. But I said, there's something here. Why have all these people been attracted to it and then bail? Well, the character was an insidious psychopath in the book. There was nothing to root for. Eventually, they did a movie based on that, thinly based, called The Hunted with Benicio del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones, and it was rough. He was just a guy who had to die. I said, what if he doesn't have to die? What if he was drafted, did the job that America wanted, and because things didn't turn out, he's now this object of scorn. He's an embarrassment. He's rejected. And anybody understands being rejected by your parents. Usually it's quite traumatic and lasts your whole life. Well, the same thing, America. You shed your blood. And then you don't even want me to show up at a restaurant without booing me. You've filled my mind with all types of insecurities and kind of like mental infirmities that won't go away.
Do you think those movies have helped veterans with mental disorders or really helped that community out?
I know they have. I'll tell you a little secret. When we did the last scene in First Blood, and I have a nervous breakdown, and it's the first time he's spoken maybe in years. So he's almost semi-autistic, Asperger, he just doesn't know how to communicate. And I said everything I wanted to say, and then they take me away. The director goes, oh, no, come on back. We're going to shoot what we intended to do the first time. I go, which is, well, Colonel Troutman is going to shoot you in the face, basically, and put you out of your misery. I go, that's a different movie. We've been filming a film where Rambo hasn't hurt anybody. All he's been trying to do is run away. Now you want to kill him. What kind of message is that for veterans who are on the fence? That they should kill themselves? That's the only remedy to their situation? I said, I'm not going to do it. The director, it was a little nuts. Went around and took the deer heads off the wall, took the rifles and smashed them on the desk. He flipped over tape. Oh, yeah. I stood in the middle and just watched him go around the room, destroying everything, and I left.
Wow.
Then they sued me. They said, you got to come back and do it the way you're supposed to do it and die in slow motion, basically. So I come back, my hair's shorter, I'm soft. I look completely opposite. I look like a hairdresser. I don't look like Rambo. I do the scene, and then I take the pistol away from Troutman. I say, you trained me, you made me, you killed me. I put his finger on the trigger, boom, going backwards in slow motion, of course. I hit the ground. They screened the film in Las Vegas before a test audience. And if you had been in the aisle, you would have been trampled to death. People hated it that much. Oh, no. It got like a 30% rating, which is almost impossible to get. So finally the studio goes, okay, put it back the way it was. Even with it back to the way it was, and it's a very successful franchise, nobody wanted the film. For some reason, the idea of an American fighting Americans was just unholy. So we released it in the worst theaters. and it finally found an audience after about 6 months. But it was not a successful film in the beginning. It had, as they say, a stench around it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Thank you.
And so, I mean, obviously, you really stuck out your neck there, but you've had other challenges in your life. What was a challenge that you faced and been able to overcome?
In films or just in
personal life?
Well, you know, there's certain inadequacies you have physical. I have a hard time articulating at times because of a nerve damage, and which also made my voice very deep. So I have an articulation problem, and that's held me back a lot. When I was in New York, I was constantly reminded, like, nobody can understand you. You're in the wrong, you're in the communication business, but no one understands you. So I had to deal with that, and I would go to the library and listen to tapes of famous orators or Dylan Thomas, a poet, you know, into the dark night, you know this kind of, or Peter O'Toole speaking. Good God, you know, and you try to overcompensate and develop those muscles. But that was a big problem. It still is a big problem.
Wow, but you've really shown grit. I mean, a lot of people have heard you now.
Yeah. You know, but I think if you don't have some sort of grit, I'm in the rejection business. This is the no business. This is not the yes business. So it's how many no's you can withstand. It's like having a fuselage of constantly being bombarded with negativity. And that separates the difference between, like, why is an alligator still around after, you know, 150 million years, and half the other species are gone. They couldn't take it. They couldn't adapt. They were weak. They developed a hide and a brain that made them withstand the changing forces of the universe. Nothing else could.
Wow. So do you think you've been able to balance that with other aspects of your life? I know you're a big painter, and now those paintings are making big bucks. How did you get into painting?
Painting was a very simplest form of expression. Writing is by far the most difficult. To me, it's like math with vowels and consonants. It's very, very complicated. So I wasn't good at it, and I couldn't concentrate, but I understood imagery. And then I thought, wow, if I go to write a story about something, why don't I just paint it first so I have an idea? Then I realized I didn't have the ability to be a portrait painter. So I'm going, why don't I paint what I think the guy is thinking? You know, so which is more abstract and odd. That way I can interpret his thoughts rather than trying to be photorealistic. I don't have that ability. So you just constantly, you know what? It's just like the alligator. You keep adapting. That's all it is.
Adapting and grinding.
That's it.
It's been your career. And so in that legendary career of yours, you must have learned so many different types of lessons. What's one lesson that you mainly take away from your career?
You have to be very, there's two ways to go. You can be very insolent and obnoxious, and you dwell on your insecurities, and you become a very difficult person. And I was, because I had felt that I'd been rejected so much. Now I was going to say, see, I told you I could pull it off. You know, I kept grinding and pulled it off. And that was wrong. Wrong, because you have to understand, you're going to cross paths with these people 100 times in your life. Or if you make a perennial enemy or a permanent enemy. So it wasn't until my wife beat it into my head to be conciliatory, to try to be a little bit more equitable, calm, understanding. Just don't be reactive. And it only took, let me see, 76 years.
Wow.
I'm getting into the home stretch. I almost have it down. Not quite.
I mean, I think you have it, muscle memory going. But I mean, those have all paid off now. Tonight,
yeah, I've had really a very unusual career. I probably had about, for lack of a better, 5 comebacks. And again, it's the alligator philosophy. You just got to keep adapting, coming back. Skin gets a little thicker, teeth get a little sharper, and you keep going. I find that the majority of many sensitive actors or artists, they can't take the rejection. They can't. They're too sensitive in their own way. And so how do you balance sensitivity and still maintain toughness? You know, it's like a sweet drill sergeant. It kind of doesn't work, but you have to try to balance that.
Is that what you showed in every single character? Is that
yeah,
acceptance of rejection?
Yeah, what separates you from people in your own profession, and it's purely a sensitivity. People can sense if you're a good guy or a bad guy or you have a good heart. Rambo, he was always running away from people. And when he did fight, it was always for strangers, for their lives to prevail at the cost of his. Mm-hmm. So what I mean? So people go, wow, he doesn't do anything for money. He's not overtly cruel. If anything, he tries to avoid trouble. So you liked him, as opposed to, say, Schwarzenegger or Willis or Jason Statham. They all have different styles. How do you approach heroism? And that's all it is. I'm going to try not to get too over the top here. Society needs mythology. Every society on the planet. That's why there's 3,000 different religious icons, different idols, right? They're all God, but there's 3,000 different ones. You know, how can that possibly be? Because every man, tribe, culture needs mythological figures. And back in the day, when you had the Iliad and the Odyssey and Achilles, and they'd write about these Nordic gods and Thor, they needed some representation of that. And today, you have movies. So these were your heroes. These were the icons. These were the tough guys. This is how a man learned to be a man. See what I mean? And women learned about beauty. That's going away.
Where do you think that's shifting to now?
It's frightening. What has happened is it's now got to the point where we're kind of folding away our physicality and thinking that words, just words, are going to settle our problems rather than deeds, real deeds. There was a time, when you grab a spear or go out and fight a lion, or when the draft was around, and man, you finally got to be put in a room with 50 other strangers, you became a man. You didn't want to do it, but you go, wow, I did it. And you came out feeling much better about yourself. Those kinds of opportunities, and now with AI, they are going the way of the dodo bird to extinction.
What do you think will replace it? Do you think it's going to be these people on social media, or do you think it's going to be...
No, Paul. I think we're into really uncharted waters. I think that, like Stephen Hawking, he said 15 years ago, we are doomed. Our brain does not function as fast as AI. Not even close. Not even in the same universe. So they will always be one step ahead. They'll be outthinking you. There's nothing you can do. It's like a chess match they can do in one move. You're in checkmate. And it's really a frightening concept.
Do you think it's going to take away screenwriters? Do you think?
Oh yeah, it's gone. It's already gone. It's gone. I'm telling you, writers, they all know it too. They all go, sheesh, not long now. I go, no, how do you compete with that? I've literally did a test, and I just put out an idea in 6 minutes. 3 minutes was a viable screenplay.
Wow. What about the production of it? Do you think it's going to be cut down cost exponentially just by...
Yeah. It's going to be very, very technical, very shallow. Because you have actors that, for the most part today, they're not experienced in the way of culture. And they'll go, oh, whoa, Sly, who do you think you are? You're not. You don't read. And it's not their fault. Schools have taken it away. No one's really into literature the way it used to be, and poetry. And God, one of the big highlights of this season is Ken Burns' Revolutionary War. And people go, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. We're here because of that. And you have no idea about the most gallant war ever fought. Farmers against the strongest army on the planet. Mind-blowing. George Washington, what did he do? What did he do? Oh my God. He's the only